Hello there, this is Todd Meredith with my status report of my CSPAP initiative for the SES 646. Um, the CSPAP initiative is happening at Thornton High School, where I'm a PE and health teacher, which is in Thornton, Colorado. My CSPAP initiative is called Trojan Intramurals, and the CSPAP component is during school physical activity. I'll be doing an intramural sports program for 9th to 12th graders. Trojan Intramurals goals and objectives. My goal is to increase students' physical activity opportunities by offering an organized intramural sports program during our lunch hour. And during the objective is by December 2018, students at Thornton High School are offered lunch intramural program for at least 2 days per week. My outcomes for this initiative for the students in the short term within the next year is to maintain or increase my participation levels, increase physical activity levels in all the participants, and offer at least 4 activities or sports throughout the year. The intermediate outcome within the next 1 to 2 years is increase participation by at least 10% and then offer 5 or more activities throughout the school year. And then the long-term goal or outcome within the next 3 to 5 years is participation is either sustained or increasing each year, and to sustain or increase the number of activities offered. And my indicators to let me know that these outcomes are being met is tracking attendance and tracking the activities throughout the program to indicate growth and sustainability. The outcomes for my school within the next year, short term, are to increase physical activity opportunities through intramural sports and increase staff awareness of benefits of physical activity and need for physical activity opportunities at Thornton High School. Within the next 1 to 2 years, or the intermediate outcome, would be that there would be a CSPAP committee formed at Thornton High School and increase physical activity opportunities other than intramurals, such as fitness classes before, after, during school, or anything else of that nature. My long-term outcome for the school within the next 3 to 5 years is that intramurals and other physical activities are funded and sustained by staff members, and that the CSPAP committee meets bi-monthly and has sustaining members as well. The indicators to show if these outcomes for the school are being met are finding consistent funding sources, the committee meeting and notes for the CSPAP committee, and then staff surveys, kind of getting data on staff awareness of the physical activity benefits and whatnot. So the work completed so far, I like to call these phases rather than steps. So phase 1 was gathering resources and funding. My rationale for that was to purchase incentives for all intramural participants and for students collecting data. I had applied for a grant through the University of Northern Colorado to help fund this program, but my district did not get the paperwork done in time or something, so I lost the grant. But I was able to secure funding from both my school through my principal and the district health and wellness committee. And with that money, I was able to purchase prizes and incentives. I got fit watches for my data collection. I got for kids who are doing my data collection. I also got gift cards for those kids that are doing the data collection. Also gift cards for the kids on each of the top 3 teams in our basketball tournament, which I kicked off as my kickoff for this intramural initiative. I got shirts for all participants, and then I also got basketballs for those kids on the championship team of our basketball tournament. Myself was the leader of this part. My resources were the funds from the school and the district, and then my artifacts for this were my intramural budget report, which I submitted to both the Health and Wellness Committee and my principal to show where the money was being used that they had graciously offered. Phase 2, hype the program. Rationale is to garner student interest. Intramural information was read on daily announcements. I had informational flyers hung around the school, and then I did myself some active recruiting, just letting kids know about the program, and we'd be starting with basketball, and it's at lunch, and it's free, and all this stuff. So again, I was the leader on this one, and then my resources and artifacts were the flyers and the announcement. Phase three, I had an intramural informational meeting held at lunchtime. The rationale was explain the rules, the dates and when everything was happening, and all the procedures and any information that was pertinent to the program. I also wanted to create my basketball teams in the basketball bracket, and also identify any students that would be willing to help me with the data collection piece. Again, I was a leader on this one. Um, Resources and artifacts, announcements and flyers about the meeting. And here's where I ran into a barrier. I had only 4 students attend this meeting, and so my solution was to go out and recruit teams and players at lunchtime instead. And by doing that, I was able to move on to phase 4, and I began my intramural initiative, my basketball season. I actually was able to start this 3-on-3 basketball tournament with 10 teams or 40 participants, which was my original goal. So the recruiting did work. The rationale was to increase student physical activity levels and physical activity opportunities through intramural sports. Myself was a leader again. My resources were just basketballs, equipment to play games, at least 5 because I had 10 teams, and then a gym space, which we have during lunchtime. The artifacts, I had a sign-up sheet with student and team names and also a bracket for the pool play. The timeline on this basketball season was about 5 weeks to play all the games in the pool bracket, and then have a double elimination tournament as well. One of the barriers I've kind of ran into with this is that I've had teams not show up, so my solution has been giving their opponent win by forfeit, and then either let that team practice or play amongst themselves, or if there's another team that didn't have an opponent, pairing up those 2 teams so they can play each other. They still get the win by forfeit, but they get to play a game still. So the next phase, or phase 5, was to recruit students to participate in data collection. I was able to recruit several students to participate, and I explained the procedures of the data collection and secured parent permission via a form sent home. The rationale is to gather data on physical activity levels of students to see if implementing intramurals increases the physical activity levels of students. Again, I was the leader on this. Artifacts collected were the permission forms. I distributed fit watch and data collection forms. The timeline is they collect 4 weeks of daily physical activity on the physical activity logs, and that was the artifact I distributed, was the logs. The indicator was the physical activity logs with physical activity data to show if intramurals is helping increase students' physical activity levels. My work in progress, phase 1, is I'm still conducting basketball intramurals. Again, rationale is to increase student physical activity opportunities. Again, I was a leader. The resources, again, were the balls, gym, space, and of course the participants. And the timeline, I've completed week 2 of the 5 weeks of the intramural basketball season, and again, artifacts are the team rosters and the brackets. My phase 2, students collecting physical activity data. The rationale is to gather data on physical activity levels of students to see if implementing intramurals increases physical activity levels of students. I was a leader again on this one. The resources and artifacts are the physical activity logs, the fit watches, and of course my participants. Again, 4 weeks of physical activity log data is completed by October 12th, and the indicators are those physical activity logs with the physical activity data to show if intramurals is helping increase students' physical activity levels. My work to be completed. Phase 1 is to complete this intramural basketball season, which is my initial intramural activity offered. The rationale is again to increase student physical activity opportunities. Again, was the leader. My resources were the balls, gym space, and participants again. My team sign-up sheets and brackets are some of the artifacts, and my timeline is pool play and tournament be completed by October 11th. Phase 2 is complete the data collection. Gather data on physical activity of students to see if implementing intramurals increases physical activity levels of students. I was a leader again on this one. My resources were the fit watches, the physical activity logs, and participants. Our artifacts and indicator physical activity logs collected end of 4 weeks to show student physical activity levels, and then those physical activity logs are hopefully completed by October 12th. Phase 3, Begin steps towards implementing the next intramural activity through recruiting and announcements to increase chance of intramural sustainability. The rationale is to get more students interested and involved in intramurals in order to increase students' physical activity levels. I was a leader again on this one. Resources, where my announcements will be announcements, and then of course students, artifacts, the announcements, indicators, intramural activity opportunity number 2, and the goal is 4 within the next year. Timeline announcements read 10 October 20th to November 5th, and then start that next activity by November 6th. Phase 4 was to increase staff awareness. Rationale is to disseminate information and help increase staff awareness of the importance of physical activity on students and the need for more physical activity opportunities in my school. Again, I'm the leader, and the resources that Shape America, Shape of the Nation report from 2016, the National Physical Activity Plan, the U.S. report card on physical activity for children and youth that we had read in one of our initial modules during the SES 646 class. The artifacts and indicators, email resources to staff, and then do a staff survey or do Google Forms collecting data on interest in becoming involved in CSPAP initiatives and wanting, if they want more information or needing support on how to increase physical activity in their classrooms or wherever. Some advancement or improvement ideas is to maintain intramural program offering at lunchtime with multiple sports and activities opportunities. I'd like to refine the funding source for intramurals, seek funding from community such as local businesses, etc., showing community positive effects of intramurals through data sources such as physical activity logs and number of participants. And I'd like to extend this initiative through disseminating information to the staff and increase awareness of benefits of daily physical activity and need for more physical activity for opportunities for our students. And my remaining questions, question number 1, I am doing everything in terms of the CSPAP initiatives, which will most likely not be sustainable. What is the best approach for me to go about getting more staff members involved in CSPAP initiatives? And my second question is, what are some strategies I can use to keep students interested and my participation levels high with my lunchtime intramural program? And that is all. Thank you guys very much.